do one of the most important topics in grammar, gap filling. Now, this is one such question where students tend to lose a lot of marks. Why? Because basically they don't know how to go about. So here we are with a very step-by-step module so that you don't lose even a single mark. So let's pay attention and move on. Now, what is a gap filling? A gap fill is a practice exercise in which learners have to replace words missing from a text. There is a text given to you, maybe a summary or a part of a passage, anything of that sort, and you have to fill in those words. These words are chosen and removed in order to practice a specific language point. Now, your grammar, you have your parts of speech. It can be probably your prepositions, your articles, your subject-verb agreement, the different, forms of your tenses, of the verbs. So these are the things which will come, and of course, you have to be utmost careful. Signal words help you to put in the correct tense. Now, what do you mean by signal words? Signal words, if I tell you something, just a small clue I give you is yesterday. So automatically you know which tense to use. So yesterday is past tense, right? If I say will go, right? So will go will indicate, it will bring you to future. So what do you think will be the signal word there? If you want to put will go, the signal word will be tomorrow. Correct? So likewise, these are called signal words. They help you to put in the correct tense. So like yesterday or tomorrow. You can easily put in the correct form of the verb if you know the signal word and which tense it demands. It indicates which tense. So here we have a table for you. You have to keep in mind that in more complex structures, it is important to have a look at the action in a sentence rather than spotting a signal word. Now, you cannot just do that. See, for beginners, as mentioned, it is okay. You can take care of the signal words. You can use them. But if the structures are way more complex, it is important to have a look at the action in a sentence. So, maybe the words are missing, maybe the signal words are missing. It is not necessary that you shall find it every time. Right? So in that case, you have to look at the action that is happening and then indicate your tense. So let's look at the signal words. Now here, every as in every day, often, seldom, sometimes, usually. Now these words indicate simple present tense. Likewise, at the moment, look, listen, now. They are talking of present progressive, means right now. Okay, it is happening now. The action is happening now. If I talk of ago, last month, last week, in 2010, yesterday, that very clearly indicates simple past tense. And if I talk of already, ever, so far, up to now, yet, it indicates present perfect. So these signal words do help us to a very good extent if they exist. But if they don't, we are going to take care of the action that is happening. Yeah. So let's move on. Do keep this in mind. Keep reading this time and time again so that you understand which signal words actually call for which tense. Right? So now let's move on to the rules. So your first thing is, this is basically step-by-step approach, how we go about. So is there a signal word in the sentence? Options can be two, either a yes or a no. If it is a yes, you will go to the third. That's the define the tense and find the correct verb form. Now you got your signal word, so obviously it will direct you to a particular tense. If it is no, if there is no signal word, then what are you supposed to do? Then you have to say what action is it. Yeah, you have to understand the action, that is it happening, did it happen, has it just happened, or is it going to happen, right? You are going to look at the action and decide the tense, the verb form, right? Now, the next, you will ask, is it a sentence or a question? Now, either of it, either a sentence or a question. If it is a sentence, then you will do what? Is the statement or the question negative? Now, if it is negative, yes, then you will go put in not after the auxiliary. That means simple present don't or doesn't and simple past didn't. You will put a not after the auxiliary. What is your auxiliary? Do, does, did, right? You're making it into negative. So in that case, you will put a not after the auxiliary. So your do becomes don't, your does becomes doesn't, and did becomes didn't. Now see, very clearly it's given to you, do and does belong to the simple present. And simple past we have did. So please take care of this. Yes? One year that if it is no, if the statement or the question is not negative, then you will fill in the verb form into the gap. If it's not, then directly just fill in the verb form. Or else you will go to the negative part of it. Coming back to this, again, if you are asking whether it is a sentence or a question, a sentence we answered. If it is a question, then what to do? Then is there an auxiliary in the question? Right? You know what your auxiliary verbs are, right? Can, could, may, might, shall, should. Yes, all these. Right? If it is a yes, is there an auxiliary? If it is a yes, then again you will ask, is it negative or is the statement or the question negative? If it is no, then what you will do? If there is no auxiliary in the question, you will use do or does in the simple present and did in the simple past. See, right now you might be finding this a little confusing, but eventually when you start, doing it, when you start practicing, in that case, it'll be very, very clear. Then you don't have to, this is just for you to get the concept. Once the concept is clear, you can just move on. And once you practice, then obviously you don't need to look at this because it's already there, right? So we got this. So is the statement or the question negative? If yes, then you will add the not after the auxiliary. If not, you will just fill in the verb form into the gap. Are we clear with this? Okay, now let's look at this. Now this is just telling you these words were missing. Okay, now right now directly the answers have been given to you, but just check this out. So here if you see, you have all prepositions, most of them prepositions, articles, you have possessives, right? So what we are trying to get at is that these things will be missing. Either your articles, so it's all grammar related obviously. So you will have your possessives, you will have probably your demonstratives, either of these missing. So let's read this. Now remember one thing, once you have answered, now this is like you've answered the question and you have to read that entire paragraph to make sure, to ensure that you have done it correctly, right? So this is counter checking. Rivers are considered holy in India, but they are hardly treated with respect. All kinds of dust and filth find their way into the rivers. If we have to treat and purify the water for drinking it, how can the fish survive in waters? Every year, River Gomti becomes the deathbed of thousands of fish because the water released in the reservoir upstream carries effluents from the neighboring industries. So you see, these are the different words which were missing. This is gap filling. This is how your exercises will come. Like it was till 8th, it was properly fill in the blanks with so and so tenses and stuff. But now it is integrated. Now this is what we call integrated grammar. Your editing, your omission, your gap filling, it is all about this. Yeah. Now grammar comes in this form. So let's try this. To this we also have, okay, did I? So yeah. Let's first read the entire paragraph and then we will go with the options provided to us. Why not looking at the solution? Be honest. Delivering his inaugural address, dash the first Agricultural Science Congress here today, dash Prime Minister said, efforts dash be made to increase the production of food grains by at least 3 times. Dash the next decade. He exhorted that the agricultural scientists dash rise to the occasion to meet the challenge of feeding the population so that we may not have to import it. If we delay, he said, in doing something about the matter, it dash be difficult to face the shortage of grains. He is optimistic that the agricultural scientists must think dash the matter. Speaking on the occasion, the agricultural minister praised the agricultural scientists for their role dash about a green revolution. Now, if we look at this is some speech. It is a part of a speech of this person. Now, tell me one thing. Do you think it's now? It's happening now? No, it has just happened. This has already happened. Yeah. See, when you're talking about a story, you're talking of part of a story. It is something that episode has happened, right? It's gone. It's past. So if it's verb forms, they will come in the past. Next, do you see that? Is there any kind of information coming to you? Information as in the whole thing. Is it based on pros and cons of internet or pros and cons of mobiles? Anything of that sort? If it is that sort, remember, when such medical news or something which is giving you information, it is information based, it is informative. In that case, we will keep the simple present tense there, right? Because that is something which happens. Yeah, it's a fact. So in those cases, we will use simple present tense. So yes, let's get back to this. Delivering his inaugural address, dash the first Agricultural Science Congress. So what do you think? On, at, over or from? Yes. So here we will say on. What suits better? On the first Agricultural Science Congress, here today, dash Prime Minister said. Dash Prime Minister said this and the. So obviously when you're talking about a particular person, it is the Prime Minister said. Efforts dash be made to increase the production of food grains by at least 3 times. So he said efforts dash be made to increase. Can be made, will be made, should be made, or may be made, right? So it will be definitely will be made. He's telling them, he's informing them. So it will be made to increase the production of food grains by at least 3 times dash the next decade. Dash the next decade as in the next decade, from, to, or have. Obviously, in the next decade, right? Moving further, he exhorted that the agricultural scientists dash rise to the occasion. Dash rise to the occasion as in, what are the options we have? Can, shall, must or should, need to. Now, obviously, if they want to do it, so they should or they must. Yeah. So, they must or they should rise to the occasion to meet the challenge of feeding the population so that we may not have to import it. If we delay he said, in doing something about the matter, it dash be difficult to face the shortage of grains. So, what are the options given to us? Can, would, need, ought to. So, yes, it would be. Okay. So, okay. All right. So, it would be difficult to face the shortage of grains. He is optimistic that the agricultural scientists must think dash the matter. Must think. Now, I think it's a very obvious thing though, if we get it. Can, would, need, ought to. So, obviously, it is would. It would be difficult to face the shortage of grains. He is optimistic that the agricultural scientists must think dash the matter. Must think over the matter, about the matter, in the matter, or should the matter. Obviously, it is over the matter. And finally, we come here. Speaking on the occasion, the agricultural minister praised the agricultural scientists for their role dash about a green revolution. So, for their role, bring, in bringing, while brought, on bringing. So, obviously, it is in bringing. See, when you read itself, you understand whether it is correct or not. So, for their role in bringing about a green revolution, right? This is how we go about for gap filling exercises. Moving further, you still have another one and it's right there. It's already solved for you. But yes, you need to go through it. The state of Orissa dash along the eastern seacoast of India lies, situated, was or falls. So yes, it lies. It lies along the eastern seacoast of India and to the south of Bengal. Dash main attractions are the temple towns of Puri and Bhubaneswar and the Great Sun Temple at Konark. So what do we have? It main attractions, its main attractions, that main attractions or the main attractions. So yes, we are talking about Orissa, so its main attractions are. Then dash 3 dash make a convenient dash compact little triangle. Now what are the options? Dash 3. So those, these, the or they. Now obviously these, we are talking about these. So these 3 dash sites, scenes, okay, sites. Now you have 2 different sites and the scenarios. So what will you come across? Sites. These are the different sites. See, this site is there to confuse you. Okay, this is the site that you see and these are the sites, right? So these 3 sites make a convenient, together, besides, and but. So they make a convenient and compact. Okay, now here we have a conjunction. And compact little triangle. Dash state is predominantly rural. Those, these, a or the. So yes, it is the state. The state is predominantly rural. Dash fertile green plains. Now what are the options? Among, between, before, after. So yes, among fertile green plains. Okay, so you got this? The state is predominantly rural among fertile green plains. Dash the coast rising up to the hills of Eastern Ghats. Inside, along, across, on. Now coast is generally that seashore, that line. So you are going along with it, right? Along the coast, among fertile green plains, along the coast, rising up to the hills of the Eastern Ghats. So this is how we go about solving your gap filling. Here you have another exercise for you to solve with options given to you in the brackets. So let's go about. Now what we will do is first we will go about reading the whole thing and then decide whether is it something giving us information, do we keep it simple present, or is it something that has happened or going to happen or is currently happening. Let's understand that and then figure out the words. Megha exercises dash day of the week. She dash aerobics or yoga and dash weights. She no longer dash greasy and junk food. As a result, Megha's health dash improving. She does not dash tired and always looks very fit and active. Sometimes, however, she yearns for pizzas and burgers. So now, tell me one thing. Is this something that has happened? No. Something which is happening? No. Something which will happen? No. It's neither. In this case, it is telling you about her routine. So anything that talks about your routine, we know we use a simple present tense. Something that is a, repetitive habit or a routine. So now this is her repetitive habit. She does this every day, right? So Megha exercises dash day of the week. So all day, now all definitely cannot come because it is day. It is not all days. All needs days, not day. Each day of the week, any day of the week, or once day of the week. Also once is very prominently wrong. So yes, it is each day because she does that on daily basis. So each day of the week, she dash aerobics or yoga. She do, she does, she doing, or she done? Now we very clearly know it is not doing because there is no ismr, and this is not something which she is doing now. She hasn't done it. It's not perfect tense. What is the option left with us? Do and does. Now she is the third person. Remember subject verb agreement. Third person with she, it will be does. I do, you do, he or she does. Please remember this subject verb agreement. This is where you generally get stuck and lose your marks. So she does aerobics or yoga and lifts weights. Obviously now here we did does, here we lifts. It's not lifting, lift, lifted. All of them don't work. So lifts weights. She no longer, very good, eats. It cannot be eat, eating, ate. It is a routine we are talking about. So simple present tense and talking about your subject verb agreement. She eats, she no longer eats greasy and junk food. As a result, Megha's health dash improving. Was improving, will improving, are improving or is improving. Obviously, it is improving. She does not get tired, very good, and always looks very fit and active. Sometimes, however, she yearns for pizzas and burgers. So this is another example, another set of practice that we could do to make things way better for you. And the last one to go with options given to us, and of course this time no solution. So you and me are going to do it together. Now let's understand this first. Whether are we talking about information, present, past or future? The rag pickers of India dash a pitiable sight. It is poverty that dash them to resort to rag picking. Day in and day out, they may be dash on the roads, the lanes and the bylanes of a city or town, looking for cast-off clothes or something else showy or shoddy that dash sell. More often than not, it is children who dash to rag picking, but some young men and women are also dash to take up the trade to make both ends meet. Why should innocent children dash should be at school at this age do this filthy job? It is because their parents are too poor to support them. So they neglect them and abandon them, dash face the cruel world on their own. Now, again, this is something, it's not an episode which has happened. It is not happening. It usually happens. That is the case. That is the fact. So in that case, we will be sticking to simple present tense. Yeah? So let's start solving quickly. The rag pickers of India dash a pitiable sight. So presented, present, will present or may present. They do present, right? So present. Okay. So the rag pickers of India present a pitiable sight. It is poverty that dash them to resort to rag picking. It is poverty that goads, will goad or may goad. It's the poverty that goads them, that forces them, that just literally pushes them in that direction. So B option, goads them to resort to rag picking. Day in and day out, they may be dash on the roads. Day in and day out, they may be seen, will be seen, are being seen, they are seen. They are definitely seen on the roads. Yeah. The lanes and the bylanes of a city or town, looking for cast of clothes or something else showy or shoddy that dash sell. That dash sell. That may sell, that will sell, that shall sell or that could sell. So yes, that will sell, that they can sell. More often than not, it is children who dash to rag picking. It is children that have taken, that will take, that take or that shall take. So yes, it is the children that have taken to rag picking. But some young men and women are also dash to take up the trade. Some young men and women are also forced, will force or may force. So yes, they are forced. The B option. They are forced to take up the trade to make both ends meet. They need money. Why should innocent children dash should be at school at this age do this filthy job? So what should be the options? It will be whom, who, which or that. Now because we are talking about children, it will be who, right? So it is, okay, who should be at school at this age do this filthy job? It is because their parents are too poor to support them. So they neglect them and abandon them, dash face the cruel world on their own. So into, for, from or to. So what do? They abandon them to face the cruel world on their own. Right? So I guess out of your 8, I'm sure at least 6 right you must have got. Please keep practicing. There's a lot of practice given to you. Please attempt those and make sure you master the topic. Yes? So that's great going. Don't limit your challenges. Challenge your limits. Don't stop here. Don't be limited. Become unlimited editions. Yes? Make sure you challenge them and keep crossing your horizons. Keep extending your horizons, right? For such more challenges, keep watching and keep learning.